Matt Lenihan for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store and our Kings. We're here. Sam Jones, Sam, an exciting day for yourself, Matchroom Boxing. We've long known about this signing sort of in the offing, in the background, but Pat Brown, a huge fuss made. I've not seen a fuss made, I suppose, this much about a former GB member, I think since the days of maybe Anthony Joshua.
Yeah.
The teasing of the announcements, there was a couple of days everyone's asking who is it, but yeah, just talk to me about today and what it means for yourself and for Pat.
No, it's a brilliant day for Pat. It's all the day's all about Pat. He deserves it. Listen, I know people say, "Oh, he's not medalled and whatnot," but Pat's style is he's a professional boxer. He's a professional boxer, and anybody that knows boxing knows how good Pat Brown is. He's got a big fan base already. He's got Johnny Fisher style support, so he's going to be a huge ticket seller. And the style he has, he's going to put arses in seats. And I honestly believe, I know me, you always say about everyone, but he's going to be top notch. He really is. He's a good person as well.
You mentioned about the meddling side of things, but sometimes we've seen it before. Not always a great amateur makes a great professional, and sometimes the ones who maybe don't always achieve them podium finishes turn over and be fantastic professionals. Do you see that in him, the fact that he has a good pro style, but not only that, he will sell tickets, he will put bums on seats, and he's exciting to watch?
Yeah, definitely. Look, it's not just, I'm not saying just believe me, right? The Tom Dallas, the matchmaker at Matchroom, Eddie himself, there's huge experience there. There's a team at Matchroom that will say that it's not just, will you sign this fighter? It goes through a process. So everyone that's watched Pat Brown, you look at him and just think he's going to be the one, which is the reason why he's the most sought after Olympian, definitely off the GB side, that all the promoters the promoters wanted.
How sort of difficult was it sort of with that rigmarole of getting him signed up to someone, because I can't imagine Matchroom being the only ones after his signature?
Look, everyone's interested in Pat, but ultimately I advise somebody, right? I'll give you my opinion, but the final decision's down to Pat, and it was Pat that made the ultimate decision. So Pat's a very he's 25 years old, but he's a very, very mature 25-year-old man. So he's made the decision.
When you look at the opportunity he's got here in Manchester, I was talking the other day about this new arena, new blood coming through. Since the days of like Ricky Hatton bringing thousands to Vegas, Anthony Crawler filling the MEN, you've this new arena now and almost the opportunity to fill that void, that gap. And look, you don't do it overnight, but in time, are you thinking he could be the next spearhead in Manchester to bring the noise, the excitement, and be a pay-per-view star?
Well, look, Jamie Moore, loads of experience. Nigel Travis, loads of experience. They all see what Pat can be. He's already going to sell huge amounts of tickets. Like I say, Johnny Fisher, when 2,000 tickets, that's the kind of numbers Pat will do. And to do that, he's a popular lad. And then when these people see what Pat can do in the ring, and his exciting style, he's going to be the guy to carry. You've got to look, when he makes his debut, which we're looking at March, you've got Will Crawler coming through, you've got Conor Tudsbury coming through. I mean, Jack Catterall, but there's a huge crop of fighters from Manchester. Now, it's a very exciting time for Manchester, but Pat's not just going to bring the glory days back to Manchester. I genuinely believe he's a throwback fighter. He's going to bring the glory days back to British boxing.
In terms of a style, obviously we'll all see it on his debut, but I was going to say, how would you describe it for, say, a fight fan who's going, what's the fuss about? Tell me what the fuss is.
He can box. Obviously, he's an Olympian, so anybody knows he can box, but he wants to entertain people, and he likes having a scrap, and that's what's going to interest people into his fights. You're going to want to pay to watch Pat Brown box.
In an ideal scenario then, next year when he does make his debut, are you looking at a Catterall undercard? Are you looking at him, maybe going down a smaller venue to main event? That's what I was going to say, because we see it often, like a Johnny Fisher, we know he sells out the copper box. Would you look to somewhere else, an Altrincham, one of these like closer areas?
There's talks in place now for him to potentially headline his debut. Pressure.
In terms of him as a person then, and maybe his mentality, what have you seen in him? Because we see when people turn pro, sometimes the lights are just a little bit too bright. He seems such a very down-to-earth, humble, lad from what I've seen of him. What makes you convinced that he can go all the way?
He knows what he wants. He knows what he wants. He's a very humble man, but he's also very intense. Like, he's very intense. You see when he talks, like, you believe everything he says. But no, I've got no doubts about it. There's no point in me saying it, because I believe I've got the best boxing stable in the United Kingdom, right? But Pat's just another one that's like, I can only tell you what I believe he's going to be, and I believe he's going to be a fantastic world champion. That's what I honestly believe.
You mentioned your stable, obviously some of them out this week. I know in terms of a young crop of fighters, you'd be hard pressed to say you haven't got some of the best of a lot of the likes of Hamza Rudin as well out to perform. And you mentioned obviously Connor Tudsbury, who we spoke about last time. Little coffee break for Mr. Jones.
Thank you, mate. Thanks. Sorry.
In terms of this card this weekend, obviously in Birmingham, headlined by Sonny and Galal, you must be buzzing to get some of your fighters back out on that as well.
Say that question again.
You must be buzzing to get some fighters back out on that card as well.
Absolutely fantastic. It's these type of fight nights, Matt, are what buzzes me. Do you understand what I mean? These are type of nights I want to be a part of. Like, I'm so glad I can play a small part to be a part of these type of nights. It's a brilliant main event. Two brilliant fighting families with two brilliant fighters. Galal, gold medalist. Sonny, former world champion. And the reason why, Sonny flipping loves tearing into me every now and again. But I respect Sonny a lot because he's done boxing the hard way. He's never had anything handed to him on a plate. Never. Like, he's always he started on the small shows and worked his way up. He worked his way up. He's fought on every platform there is, and he's worked his way up. It's not just a mouthpiece, Sonny. He's a brilliant boxer. He come unstuck against Bam Rodriguez, who I think is a pound for pound star. Is Galal going to be able to close the distance down against Sonny? Who knows? But it's a brilliant fight between two brilliant fighters that come from two great fighting families. That's what boxing's all about. British boxing's all about.
Who do you give the edge to in the fight? Do you go Sonny on experience?
I give Sonny the edge on experience, but that's not to say Galal can't win, because I really rate Galal. But like I say, Sonny for me is the favourite, but it's a slight favourite. Great fight, brilliant fight.
We talked about Jack Catterall last time out, but we're going to touch on him again. There's a fight between Liam Parrow coming up and Hitchens. You must have one eye on that, looking at potentially fighting the winner. I think on and off camera, people have talked about. Jamie's mentioned that if Hitchens wins, stylistically, is that a good incentive fight? But is it just about getting Jackie's world title shot at this point because he needs to?
It is, but it's also about what's right for Jack. Like the Barboza fight, which has been ordered today by the WBO, I believe it should be for at least the interim world title, because Teofimo Lopez, what is he even doing? Like as great. And listen, Teofimo Lopez is an amazing fighter. Loads of respect for Teofimo Lopez. He's a fantastic fighter. But Jack wants to fight him because Jack wants to prove he's the best in the division. But if he isn't going to fight, or he has no intention on fighting the winner of Barboza and Jack, if them two do get it on, let these two fight for the belt. That's what I'll say. If you want to move up to welterweight, go up to welterweight. But it's a bit frustrating.
Realistically, do you think Teofimo Lopez would fight Jack Catterall? I mean, when you look at...
I don't think so. And it's not because I don't think Lopez is worried about Jack, because he's not. Lopez is a fighting man. He'll fight anybody. So it's nothing to do with Lopez thinking, oh, no, I don't want to fight Jack. It's that he wants Terence Crawford. He's talking about Terence Crawford. He's not going to look at Jack Catterall. Even though Jack's profile has gone a lot higher, he's coming off the back of 3 big wins against 3 big names.
Headlining as well.
But it's just the fact that Lopez will look at Jack and think, it's not going to make me mega money.
Surely with the influx of Riyadh season now and everybody working in partnership, there's money there to say, look, this is a great fight, 2 completely different personalities, 2 different styles in and out the ring. It's one of them fights where if you put that together, that is a really, really good fight to make.
Do you know what it is, Matt? You've asked me there my opinion on whether it does happen, and that's the only reason why I say it. I'm not saying Lopez is thinking, oh, I'm scared of Jack, because that's not the case. Teofimo Lopez boxed Lomachenko when he was a kid and became undisputed champion. Lopez is I hold him really high regard, Teofimo Lopez. I just don't think he will look at that fight and think, it's a really hard fight. he wants to fight Terence Crawford, doesn't he? Like, he thinks he's going to get that type of fight. So
if Liam Parrow comes out on top against Hitchens, would Jack be willing to go to Australia to make that fight? Because Liam, I'm sure, now wants a homecoming, and they just signed a George Kambosos. And
the issue with Liam Parrow is, and no disrespect to Liam Parrow, but the facts are facts. Nobody really knows who he is. He's not a big draw. So I think if he wins that fight against Hitchens, he becomes a bit more. But it's like, he's not going to get a lot of credit for beating Richardson Hitchens because no one really knows how good he is. Even though Richardson Hitchens is a very good fighter, very, very, very good fighter, very talented fighter, but it's not a marquee win, if that makes sense, for Liam Parrow. But no, Jack would 100% go to Australia. Jack could go anywhere and fight anybody for the World Championship. It's just got to be financially correct.
What are the other fights you're looking forward to now in boxing? We've seen Fury Usyk 2. We've seen Bivol Better Be Ever. We've been long calling for that. Yeah. What do you want to see now? We keep asking this, but I think every time we ask, they seem to get made.
I want to see Virgil Ortiz against Boots Ennis.
Who does Gervonta Davis fight? I know he's fighting, I think, Lamont Roach Jr. That's happening, I believe, March, potentially in Brooklyn.
I want to see Gervonta Davis come up and fight Ryan Garcia when he comes back. I think that rematch would be brilliant at a higher weight when Ryan Garcia is not so weight drained. I just want to see all the best fight the best. I want to see number ones fight number twos. I want to see the best. Canelo against Benavidez.
That needs to happen, doesn't it?
Absolutely, it needs to happen. But like, my fighters are going to be involved in some good fights, and I'm looking forward to next year. But we've got a big weekend in Birmingham this week before we think too far ahead.
Absolutely. Look, I appreciate your time. I'm sure we'll catch up as well in Birmingham. Catch up soon.
Nice one, Matt. Cheers.